All right, let's switch it up now and talk some cricket. The West Indies will continue their white ball tour of England with a hat-trick of T20 internationals slated to begin on Friday at Chester Street. After suffering a disappointing 3-0 series sweep in the one-day internationals, the Windies will be aiming to give a much better account of themselves in the shortest format. That's the message of the new captain, Shai Hope, that he's trying to convey.
One series that doesn't make us a bad team. It's just how it goes with playing someone in their conditions who they're familiar with. But yeah, like I said, the ODI series is gone. We can't put too much stress and focus on that. We got to look ahead, which is the T20 stuff now. And yeah, we're gonna turn things around. They beat us in the ODI series, and the aim is to turn that around for this one. England is one of those teams who are always gonna be coming at us, and how we're gonna stop them is the biggest question. So the conversation is going to be ongoing. It's not something that started last week or a month ago. It's been going for a long time. And yeah, it's just make sure we're on top of whatever they throw at us and ensure we're ready for the challenge.
With us via Zoom to preview what is shaping up to be a very intriguing series is Nikhil Uttamchandani. Nikhil, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Well, Maria, nice to see you back. Breath of fresh air.
Thank you. Appreciate it always. All right. Well, let's.
Why is that guy next to you laughing?
Well,
he always has to laugh.
I know, for no reason. But he did say that. Well, Donald said he missed me. He didn't comment, so you know what that means, right?
He wouldn't. He doesn't give Jack the jacket too often, but they did miss you, Maria, I think.
Yeah, and well, Nikhil, we're always happy to have you on the show. So let's start talking some cricket because there's so many different aspects of this matchup to talk about. We just heard from the skipper Shai Hope, and a lot of eyes will be on him, in this format, especially T20.
Certainly, Maria. I think for both teams, obviously having new captains at the helm, it's an important, very important series in my eyes. When you think about the T20 World Cup 9 months away, the amount of franchise cricket that's being played during the year, teams will take every chance they get to play cricket as a unit, international teams that is, just to try to figure out what's your best combinations, what works well for you, what doesn't work well for you. So I think a series like this, which is the start of a new era for both teams, will be significantly important. For the West Indies and for Shai Hope, I'm looking to see what are the differences in his captaincy, because we think back to Darren Sammy's press conference when he announced Shai Hope as captain. One of the main things he implemented was wanting to go down a more data-driven path. So if we have a captain now who's willing to take that step as well, what are the changes backed by that data that we're going to see in this series? That's what I want to keep an eye on.
Yeah, a lot of people will be looking to see, what he does under his tenure as captain, especially coming off, replacing Rovman Powell. A lot of talk about that. We know when Rovman was replaced as the T20 captain. Nikhil, when we look at the team on paper, one of the things Rovman was asked about is Nicholas Pooran missing. Of course, Shai Hope said we can't really focus on the players that are not there, but there are so many that are a part of the squad, and to me we look good on paper. I want to start first by talking about a fit Andre Russell, what we would have seen from him in the IPL and him translating that into the Windies setup.
Yeah, only the 150 for Russell with bat in hand, but again, I think when I reflect on his season, he didn't get many opportunities to bat up the order, which likely he will do if the West Indies are able to get off to a good start. I do think, though, his ability, although he was expensive, his ability with the 8 wickets in the IPL to come in and bowl the important overs. He bowled the 16th, the 17th, many times for Ajinkya Rahane in this year's tournament. And I think just his ability to use the angle from around the wicket and bowl those wide Yorkers, it gives Shai Hope and the West Indies another option for their death bowling that we know they've badly struggled in. So I really think he's a welcome addition, and without Pooran, it probably gives the West Indies an option to play all of, obviously, Rovman Powell, but then the all-rounders in Shepherd, Holder, and Russell. And who knows, maybe the 3 of them could be auditioning for 2 spots. But I would like to see an 11 with all 3 of them playing and see the flexibility that it gives the West Indies.
Yeah, you spoke about Holder. You just said his name, and I know you're very close to the Windies setup. I've seen videos of you looking at the guys train and all of that. One of the topic is that Jason Holder hasn't been playing cricket for 18 months. What do you know about him and the work he probably has been putting in behind the scenes?
Yeah, it's been funny because people have taken to social media and have spoken about a lack of commitment from Holder, which I find quite surprising given that obviously he was injured at the last World Cup. And he's made himself available. In all fairness, he's come out in the media. He said he's available for Test cricket. I've seen some people talk about his MLC selection, Major League Cricket, after this series, but that was off the back of not being selected, or we anticipate not being selected in the Test team. Because if you notice with Jason Holder's announcement, it was way after the Knight Riders announced all of their other overseas players. So I don't think commitment is a problem. He just has battled injuries. And what he has done is gone back to the franchise T20 tournaments around the world and really dominated, because there would have been obviously questions about if he was able to come back into this West Indies team and make the team. But you look at his performances, we talked about it a few days ago, 32 wickets in 20 games, averaging over 30 with bat in hand. It was going to be very hard for Darren Sammy to leave him out of his 15.
Yeah, Nikhil, this T20 international setup, very similar to the 50-over setup. Do you think that these players are better suited for the T20 game than they are for the 50-over game? And in what ways, if indeed you think that as a unit they are better in the T20 format than we saw in the 50-over format, certainly in the recent series against England?
Definitely, I think they're more suited to T20 cricket, albeit the results in the past year may not tell us that. But the reason I think that is because if I think about the individuals in the side, I think the individuals in the teams, so specifically if you look at the T20 team, the likes of Rovman Powell, Pooran, Hossain, who don't play in the 50-over side, I just find the individuals in the T20 team are better at that format than the individuals in the 50-over format, if that makes any sense. But for the guys that cross over between the two formats, I just think, look, we know that strike rotation and almost withstanding pressure is a problem and has been a problem, especially against spin for the West Indies. And in T20 cricket, there's a more priority placed on boundary scoring. And I think that's what the West Indies have done for the last decade. Now, we all know the importance of the other deliveries as well, that you don't hit boundaries. And that could be one of the reasons why the West Indies have not been at their best in the last 12 months. But still, I definitely think they will feel like a firm favorite in this series. And just the personnel alone in this side, with that much experience, they should be expecting a lot of themselves.
Yeah, Nikhil, when I look at this, T20 setup, this specific squad that's in England, and I look at the potential possible batting lineup, there are a couple areas I'm not sure what it will look like. So I suspect Brandon King, Evan Lewis will be at the top, and the captain, Shea Hope, will likely come in at 3. But who bats at 4 in this side in the absence of Nicholas Pooran? Do you send Rovman Powell in at that position, or given the form that Sherfin Rutherford is in and the fact that he said, I want more responsibility, does he come in at 4? What does the batting lineup look like, and certainly the top 6?
All good points, Ricardo. I think they have the option of even going Sherman Hetmeyer if they want a like-for-like replacement. But the reason I would like to see Rutherford at 4 is because he just batted there in the IPL, and what he showed us was enough versatility to be able to bat in different positions and situations of the game. At times, he came in for Gujarat when they had lost 2 of their top 3 early, and he was able to weather the storm and attack. And then we all know his finishing ability. I think it's a great way to enhance the skill set of one of your more important batters, knowing that Pooran, your best player, is not in the team. Give him the more responsibility. The only reason I would think against Powell is because of Adil Rashid's strength. And with his 4 overs being in the middle, you probably don't want him exposed to the leg spin. So I think Rutherford is a great bet. He's a left-hander, can sweep the ball, plays spin well. And yeah, I think that's a great option for the West Indies. Of course, there's Roston Chase as well. If the power play woes like we saw in 2024 continue, he can be inserted up the order to almost steady the ship.
Yeah. Isn't Adil Rashid likely to come into the attack whenever Rovman Powell gets out in the middle?
Yeah, true, but if he's batting in the 14th, 15th over, you can't keep him that long. So, I mean, if you have Rutherford and Shea Hope, they're neutralizing the threat. At some stage, England and Harry Brook will want wickets, so they're going to have to go to their best bowler. And I look at this attack now with no Archer, with no Wood, no Overton. A lot is going to be on those 4 overs of Adil Rashid to win England this game.
Yeah.
And the series.
Yeah, I want to get in a question specifically about this England setup. and what they're expected to offer for this three-match series. But earlier you mentioned the trio of Andre Russell, Jason Holder, and Romario Shepherd, and you said you would like to see them all play together in this series. Is it that you think that is a sustainable option for the West Indies going into the World Cup in 9 months? Or is it that you want to see, okay, I want to see them play together so I can make a decision as to which one might be on the outside looking in come World Cup time?
Personally, Ricardo, I think it's a sustainable option. I think back to when the West Indies were dominant in that 2016 World Cup and how for so long in that tournament, they went with the one-seamer in Ravi Rampaul, and then went with their all-rounders who were so flexible and gave the West Indies options. Now, the reason why I think it is sustainable is because of Jason Holder's batting. Just because of the fact that he offers them something against the spin, and they're not almost vulnerable. I think back to Powell, Shepherd, and Russell, the three of them coming in behind each other in the order. It just exposed the West Indies, and teams were just keeping their spinner, their leg spinner, to when those three came into the crease. I think with Holder, he gives you the option of going up the order, and we all know, for me, he bowls across the three phases. So I think this is a sustainable model. The only reason I said it could be an audition is because for the potential of maybe you go to your second spinner in Sri Lanka or India where the World Cup is being played. If Moti has to come in, I anticipate it'll be at the expense of one of them. And especially given Moti's batting as well, he's got a great case.
Yeah, very much the case. And, you know, the England coach has made no bones about the fact that they are looking towards the Ashes. They've started this new era with their limited over setup, certainly in the 50-over game. But the T20 World Cup is 9 months away, so it has to be a significant part of the thinking and the planning for all teams, not just England. But what do you make of the squad that they've put together for this T20 series, and how close do you think that will be to what their World Cup setup will look like in 9 months?
I think the batting will be quite similar with Butler, with Brook, with Phil Salt, who's not in the team because of his the birth of his child. But I think Duckett as a left-hander. What I do think will change drastically is the bowling. I don't think they'll go into that World Cup without a fit Mark Wood and Jofra Archer, even if they're not playing a lot of cricket leading into it. But I think it's a great chance for someone like Luke Wood, who's a left-arm seamer, to audition. Someone like Saqib Mahmood, who took 11 wickets in 4 games in that series in the Caribbean. So I think the bowling attack, there's still a lot of positions open. But I look at the power that they possess with Brook, Butler, Bethel. Banton is also an audition for him in this series. I think they're going to come hard at the West Indies, but it's a strong batting, but a very vulnerable and not the most experienced bowling attack. And that's why I put the West Indies as favourites in this series.
Yeah, Nikhil, well, you know, only a matter of hours before we see that first ball bowl. And I know you're going to rally behind the West Indies, so I'm not really going to ask you a prediction today, but let's see how they go tomorrow.
Mariah, the region needs something to smile about. So, I mean, it's been a dire past 2 weeks in both the men's and women's. Not for me. I just want to make it clear. It's not for me. It's for you, the West Indian fans. I'm hoping, and for the cricket neutrals as well, we are hoping for a better game and performance from the West Indies.
You know, I always get a preacher vibe from you every time I'm wrapping up this segment.
Nikhil,
You're always leaving us with some words of wisdom.
I am a child of God, but I wouldn't call myself a preacher.
All right,
Neither
Nikhil.
would I.
All right, Nikhil. Well, we'll talk to you again soon, okay? Take care.
All right, guys. Thanks.
Nikhil Uttamchandani there, of course, stopping by to chat cricket with us. We're up on a break. We'll be right back.